So usually this stage comes after your client will have picked a concept to develop. Well, if you're doing this just to create a portfolio piece, then you get to make that decision yourself. But with your chosen concept in hand, let's get ready to really refine and enhance it. So the key to this stage in a real life project is usually taking feedback from the client. And after a discussion, you may pick out specific aspects of the logo that you want to change, or things to change about the monograms so far. So in the example I'm sharing here, that's what happened with my client, and we ended up with two routes we wanted to explore. And the route the client asked me to explore initially, I really didn't think it was going to work. As you can see here, they asked me to kind of carry on this cutout of the G and make it subtract from the S. Well, aesthetically, as I've noted here on something I shared with them, I don't think that worked well. So as an alternative, the G sitting completely behind the S, and we just have this separation where the two intersect. If you're looking at these different versions and wondering, well, what's the difference? It's the size of the gap. So we felt this had the perfect balance. And that's something you have to be prepared to do. You can't just land on the first option you try out. If we look at the gap here, is that large enough? Well, at this level of zoom, it may well be, but as we zoom out, you find one element can start to actually vibrate against the one next to it. So it's important to zoom in, zoom out, and really, at this stage, put these things under the microscope. And if we come to the next artboard here, we had another small phase of development, and you can see we looked at using two different font types as the base. So we've got an S and a G here that are quite different to the S and the G used in the version on the left. And actually, they're so different. The G is so much wider than the S that you can see in this version here, it's not really possible for them to overlap in the same way. But what the client did like about these characters was the kind of slim profile line of the G. The fact it doesn't have such a pronounced serif, and it felt a little more modern. So the solution, if we come along to the next artboard here, was to take the parts we like and create a custom character, which is something I love to do. So I'm not going to go into this in detail in this class. So I've used circles, or rather ellipses. They don't have to be perfect circles, and I've placed them where I want to either add or subtract something from these underlying shapes. And the key thing we wanted to manipulate was the outside. We wanted a real smooth flowing circle rather than the dip and then the split out to the serif here and the same at the bottom. And here's one I made earlier, so you can see I've taken part of the base font and we filled those in. Like so. So the end result is quite effective, and it's something that's completely bespoke for my client. This is no longer a typeface that you could buy or license for yourself online. We've now created something that's completely unique to them. Then we've used the same process demonstrated before to stroke the outside and create the illusion of this overlap. And as before, we have the S on top with the illusion that the G is sitting underneath. So what about the modern monogram? Well, this is a sheet I created when I was working with the client on this one, and you can see some of my my annotation, my notes here. But these were minor details to change. Because we constructed this in a way that it was geometrically sound, it meant we really didn't need to fine-tune very much at all. It meant it was already well balanced, and other than some minor things to tweak, really ready to go. And you can see across the artboards here, we did explore the weight of the actual line used to see if perhaps a thinner profile for the character improved it. And you can try that quickly by simply stroking the outside. You can see, as long as it's on a white background, if I add a white stroke, ensuring that it's aligned to the center, you can very quickly create something for your client to see. Bear in mind it's going to change some of the spacing, but it's a really quick and easy trick for seeing if you want to reduce or increase the overall weight of a monogram. And here's the version that we felt was best balanced, that we decided to go ahead with. And as always, it needs to be explored on a dark and a light background. So at this stage, if you're going to introduce color into your monogram, you could potentially explore that. And of course, on a real project, you would want to combine the monogram with any logo type or tagline you're using, so that the client is able to look at something that represents the finished logo. But by the end of this stage, you should have a very good idea where this concept's heading, and you'll be ready for the next phase, which are the final adjustments.